A special NYCFC views from Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey, where New York City has dropped a 1-0 decision to Red Bull New York in the League's Cup. We've got it all for you here. We're going to recap. I'm Glenn Crooks. He's Roberto Abramowitz. It's NYCFC Views.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy.
Tiene tiro y gol! ¡Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And there it is, Red Bull Arena, and that was the site of a 5-0 win over Toronto in the last group stage game for New York City FC, which elevated them to the round of 32 against the New York Red Bulls, who on a penalty in the 31st minute from Omir Fernandez defeated New York City 1-0 on a Thursday night, one of 6 games in the League's Cup. So New York City winners of an MLS Cup. Red Bull New York has never won an MLS Cup, but New York City will not win their first League's Cup as they were eliminated tonight. And I'm Glenn Crooks. Here's Roberto Abramowitz, NYCFC Views, and we're happy to be here at the stadium post-game, where we're giving you, I suppose they call this immediate reaction, or what
it is.
You know, and so what's your immediate reaction, Roberto?
That New York City comes out as empty as the stadium is right now. And for the 4th time, so here's a bunch of things, okay, as far as stats are concerned, and this is troubling. Here we go, all right? New York City has faced the Red Bulls 4 times in elimination games. They're 0 for 4.
Right,
they're
3 U.S. Open Cup, and now this.
And so they're 0 and 9.
They've never met in the MLS Cup playoffs, which is regrettable. That hasn't happened.
Now, of course, all the games have been here, all right? So, you know, give home field whatever it is. If it was Yankee Stadium, maybe it's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
But those are the facts. Also, New York City has played, in the last 6 games that they played the Red Bulls, every game that they've lost, which has been -1, because last week they beat, not last week, last year here, they beat the Red Bulls 1-0, if you remember that. But then after that, I mean, every game that they've played, aside from that, they haven't scored a goal. And here we go again, didn't score a goal either. So the last 5 games, last 5 losses, no goals for New York City.
Well,
it's nuts.
That game, the thing about that game last year, and I recall it quite clear. We recall a couple of games in this series quite clearly where New York City got victories. Number one, Dome Toronto in 2019 saying, we're going to play direct football. We're not going to play our normal style, and we're going to deal with what they give us. And New York City was successful with that for a match under Dome. That was his decision tactically. Last year, the decision tactically was to solve the pressure with the way the City Football Group wants all 13 of their satellite clubs to play, starting with Manchester City and working it down to whatever you think is the last rated club in the City Football Group. And New York City was successful with that. The same mentality today, or the same game plan today, it did not work. Red Bull New York, their way, their game plan outdid New York City's game plan. I mean, it's simple that way. It's because you look back at quality chances, and that was one of the issues earlier in the year when they lost 1-0. Right. It was only 6 shots and only 1 on goal. Tonight, the final total.
I'll give this to you in a second. I have them here.
The shots on goal. Well, the first 2 shots of the first half, and the only 2 shots of the first half were blocked.
Yeah.
So, and then it went from there, and we know that Bakrar walked in once and hit a weak shot on goal. Keaton Parks had that late deflection off a nice service from Magno on the left, and Tavon Gray walked in on a nice through ball from Parks and couldn't beat Coronel on the near post side. That was it.
Yeah, that's it. 7 shots for both teams, 7 and 7.
Yeah.
New York City, 3 shots on goal. Red Bulls, 3 shots on goal. One of them went in because it was a penalty kick.
Yep. That's usually
And then,
that's the highest percentage shot in soccer. 80% of penalty kicks get converted. It's and Fernandez now has the game-winning goal in both matches this year, all competitions. He scored
He's
in
a
the run
killer.
of play in the 76th minute.
The guy
first
from
one
the
this year.
Bronx killed the team that's originally from the Bronx.
That's right, and so it's a highly disappointing loss. I think not just because of the defeat, but the fact that you're coming off a 5-0 win over Toronto, and I think this lends itself to the understanding of who and what Toronto FC is. My post-game comment was, if there were relegation, they'd be in the USL Championship, following this season or following that game.
Canadian League.
And maybe, yeah. And some good quality goals against, but let's talk imposing their style, the New York Red Bulls. So
they do.
Here's my broadcast partner, Matty Lawrence. Here's what he said, and then you can tell me what Ariel thought. It was just a matter of the Red Bulls. No, he called a professional. And Matty is a former central defender, and he loves to give it to the opponent, and he has no issues with the way the Red Bulls play. I certainly do, because I don't enjoy watching games like this. I don't enjoy it. So call me whatever you want. I just don't enjoy it. I would not pay for an Apple subscription to watch the New York Red Bulls. I wouldn't. But let's face it. And here at Red Bull Arena now, 12-2-2 lifetime.
Yeah.
But they imposed their 24 fouls, and only 3 of them were in areas where New York City maybe had a chance to either score directly or put it in a real dangerous spot.
But this is a situation, Glenn.
But
you know that against this team, okay, you're not going to get the chances that you had against Toronto, or you're not going to have the chance that you get against any other team in this league. So you have to be, when you get these opportunities, you've got to be deadly with them. All right. That's the reason Baccarat is here. They brought in a legit center forward. Okay. He had a legit chance, and he just gave it right to the goalie. And you can't do that. Not against this team. You just aren't going to get those type of opportunities, especially here. And you play at Yankee Stadium or Citi Field, different story. But here, you better be clinical. You've got to finish these opportunities. And that's the issue that New York City had, is because they created a few, but you've better be deadly on them, and they weren't. And sure enough, they get one real good chance, and it was really like the only real good chance. And there's a foul in a penalty area by James Sands against Luquinhas, and Omir Fernandez converts it, and ball game over, sadly. We didn't know it. It was the 31st minute, but in a way, in the back of your mind, didn't you say, here we go again? Because New York City does not have a win all year long when they allow the first goal. I don't have a win.
Well, that goes along with the lack of the scoring touch or the finishing touch or the creation touch. All right, we have some quotes from Nick Cushing from his post-game presser, compiled by Chris Sakonis, who is one of my partners on the NYCFC broadcast, English version. And first, thoughts on the nature of the game, and then we'll respond to each one here, Roberto. I think we know the nature of this game, and there's 2 ways we can play it. We can control the chaos with our play, or we can join it and fight. And I didn't think we did either in the first half. We have to be better with the ball. We had maybe 2-3 opportunities, but I think we've got to fight harder. So it's interesting. You've got to do one or the other. I don't see why you can't blend the two if you're very good at what you do. But the fight, I think was you'd have to give it to the Red Bulls.
Yeah,
It's not so much effort.
No,
it's just and you have these young homegrowns on either side, Cam Harper and John Tolkien on either side of the back line, and they're good young players. And I don't want to impose their will to the point where it becomes this hackneyed phrase on NYCFC Views for this particular segment and episode. But that to me, it just, they got under the skin of New York City. Keaton Parks was exhausted by the end of the game again, and just forced to work so hard box to box. And that last opportunity, he redirected that
That's all he could
service, and he just could. But it looked like it was just exhaustion set in.
I think it was just the ball came in really quick, and all he could do was react and deflect and pray. But sadly for him, the goalie was in a good position, and Coronel was just able to gobble it up easily. And with that, it ended. So let me ask you a couple of questions because you're the coach here, and this is your area. So first, let me just say that New York City won 52% of the duels. They won 51% of the ground duels, and they won 53% of the aerial duels. So all of that was sort of even though Nick didn't feel that New York City did as well on that. They sort of did, but it didn't really bear out anything as far as the game is concerned.
Did it take? Go
Nick
ahead. Ask
too
the
long?
question.
So here we go. Did it take too long for Nick to make a change? I mean, I know that you're not going to go and make lineup changes before halftime, right? But the way the team was structured and how they were attacking or trying to come out, it just didn't seem to work. And you know how you say you keep on trying the same thing again over and over, you're going to get the same result. And that's what it seemed that was happening.
Well, they changed the shape at halftime.
Yeah, that's
Hack
at
came
halftime.
in
But why did it have to take to halftime when we could see after 25 minutes it wasn't working, after 30 minutes it wasn't working, after 35 minutes it wasn't working, and here we go. Why couldn't he make some sort of an adjustment before that? I'm asking you because I really seriously don't know.
I think what you when you look out onto the field as a coach and you can see players make the adjustments along the way based on the way they're trained and taught the game, like players can make adjustments during the course of a game. Do you want to go to 3 at the back before the end of the half? Absolutely not. I don't think you want to do that. Are you going to make personnel changes? Maybe you wait till halftime because
which is what he did.
So it's up to the players really to alter the path of what's going on. It really is. And do you need Matt Freese to recognize when to play a more direct ball or rather than build? And there was a moment in the game where it was obvious on a goal kick or on a free kick just outside of the area, deep in their own end, that Thiago Martins, the setup was to build out of the back through the keeper, and Matt Freese wanted no part of it. He didn't want the ball.
Yeah, and Martins started yelling at him, and then there was a corner kick that they wound up giving up. Yeah. And then at that point, Chanot came in.
An exchange,
Chanot came in and said, okay, calm down. Everything's going to be fine, and high-fived him. Yeah. And then Martins came in and then ripped him a new one.
So we're not sure what was happening there other than Matt Freese didn't want the ball. So that's an interesting choice of Matt Freese instead of Luis Barraza in this game. We know Barraza, there were a couple of struggles in the previous matches. Freese got a clean sheet against Toronto FC. That's not something that, there's going to be no award for that. He's not going to put it on his mantle at home that he got a clean sheet against Toronto, not that Toronto team. Mm-hmm. But you've got a team that's you want to build out for the keeper, and you've got a team that is going to put pressure on you. The guy who's better with distribution and with his feet by a pretty significant margin right now is Luis Barraza. So I think, looking, if you're going to do the Friday morning quarterbacking as we approach Friday morning,
yes, we do.
That might be one of the things that you look at as well. So they changed the shape. So here's his next comment. This is Nick Cushing, head coach of New York City, post-game remarks. We were talking about the change from a 4-back system to 3-back. We were turning the ball over too much. We played a game that Red Bull wanted in the first half. So I changed the system to try to give us the opportunity to have more of the ball. And I wanted the team in the moments when we brought them to be more direct. And we did that in the game, and we got 2 looks from it, but I just don't think we had good enough individual performance tonight to really stamp our identity on the game. So
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And you gotta, you can blame systems and you can blame coaches for a lot, but then again, the guys on the field are the ones who have to perform and do this. They've got to win their one-on-one battles. They've got to be in the right position. They've got to be able to, if they're going to, if they're going to pass a through ball, don't hit it too hard where the ball is just going to go out of bounds. It was just too many imprecisions by New York City today. You know what I'm concerned about a little bit, and I don't know if you agree on this or not. James Sands just doesn't look when he has the ball, he just doesn't look as comfortable as he did at the beginning of the season. And as well as I remember, 'cause I always thought he was really good on the ball. But today, it's been lately, there's a lot of small imprecisions, passes that don't go where they're supposed to go, or losing the ball in a bad situation, in a bad place. And they're just a little bit off of what I expect of him, which is always expecting something very good out of James Sands. I don't know how you saw it and how you call it on the broadcast, but something's off.
Yeah, no, he didn't have a particularly good game. I don't see this as he didn't play the last game due to a concussion. He was involved in the Atlas game, came back after he had the head injury. So I'm not remembering specifically the Atlas game, but tonight he struggled, and not just delivering the penalty punch where Luquinhas went down, Sands committing the foul, and Omir Fernandez connecting. So that's a difficult moment for Sands too. But but the overall game, he's still winning things. Yep. He and Parks are working pretty well together. But yeah, I think there's a lack of precision there. But there's still a calmness to him that I really like. And we are at Red Bull Arena. I'm Glenn Crooks along with Roberto Abramowitz on NYCFC Views. Sammy, show that establishing shot so that everybody knows we're not lying. Yep, there it is. We are here. If you can't see off to the right, but it did rain earlier tonight, but now we have a 3/4 moon that's out.
It rained?
It's sort of an orangey, a downpour.
Where?
Here.
I totally missed it.
At the start of the second half, yeah.
At the start of the second half?
Yeah.
I totally didn't notice it at all. Yeah. We're under a nice roof, I have to say. If I didn't notice it at all.
Well,
but the moon is stunning, by the way. Oh, my God. It's like orange. It's just gorgeous.
I wonder if I can keep it there, Sammy. Let me see if I can actually
No, the moon's never going to. No, it's
it won't
never
show up
work.
on the iPhone?
No, it never does.
I spent a lot of money for that iPhone.
Yeah.
Are you telling me it won't pick up the moon?
Well, go try it.
No, I'm not going to try.
It never works on the iPhone. All right, I'm going back here to James Sands, okay? Here we go. Ground duel ones, 4 out of 7. Aerial duels 1 out of 3. Was fouled once, fouls committed 1, and that was a costly one. He had 5 recoveries, dribble pass 1, he won 2 out of 3 tackles. He was dispossessed once. Accurate long balls, 5 out of 10. Passes into the final third, 5. 62 touches, 1 block shot. And that was like after he had a good opportunity that I thought he might have a chance to score. Accurate passes, 75, 40 out of 53. That's James Sands' personal numbers for this evening.
All right. Well, a lot of balls played forward, and another halftime adjustment quote from Nick Cushing, courtesy of Chris Sakonis. Thank you, Chris. On bringing on Matthias Pellegrini and Justin Hack. I went to 3 at the back just to try to overload the first line, to try and take away that first line of pressure, or to bring another one of the Red Bull guys so that we could open spaces for Mounsef and open spaces for Santi. I thought we started to get ourselves in the game. There was one wonderful ball played to Bakrar. It was over his right shoulder, and he received it so gently. But Andres Reyes had a wonderful night at the back.
Yes,
and is another. Endom is not near the quality. Endom was playing against San Luis, and then Reyes came in late. He's been injured, so this was big for the Red Bulls to have him in the back next to Nealis.
Sure.
They're both tough center backs.
They are, but here's the thing: Bakrar, as he's approaching, and he's got a shot. So I understand him wanting to take a shot. You want your center forwards taking a shot. I get that. But he had Matthias Pellegrini so wide open on the right side.
Yeah,
he had so wide open.
That's a different play.
Oh, that's a different one.
That's where he walked into the box on the left.
Yes.
And then opened up his body and then just got nothing on the shot.
Nothing on it.
If you're going to go in, you have to drive with the left. That's what my analysts thought, and I thought the same way. But yes, Pellegrini was also wide open on the right.
Yeah, and he probably should have passed the ball. But look, you're paying him to take shots, so I don't have that much of a problem with it. I just wish that he had shot better, and maybe we're having a different discussion at this point.
Yep. Then the long layoff. This is a post game from Nick Cushing again. I think the long layoff will be really positive for us, purely based on the amount of players that we're adding to the group. We know that Julian Fernandez was not available tonight. Burke Reese not available. Neither one of them are in the country yet. They're still working on their paperwork. Maxi Morales, all reports are that it's very close to being a done deal. So he's coming back into the fray. So the group will look different. This is Cushing again. We said all along that we're going to strengthen the group, and hopefully we can work for Burke really quickly. Andres will be ready to play now that the Leagues Cup is finished. I forgot about Andres Perea, who was obtained on loan from Philadelphia. And Munsef will have more training, and hopefully this is all about the break. So,
right. But also remember that there's also supposedly, and this has not been confirmed yet, but Alonso Martinez, the Costa Rican, he's supposed to come in, and then Maxi is supposed to be really close for that to happen.
Yeah.
So
a lot of new faces, but the challenge is you have 10 games left. Maybe it is important this break if you can get them in. They're not in yet. So this is the issue, and it's something I asked Nick on the pregame show, which you heard on the New York City FC network, part of our live commentary. And it's before every game, and you shouldn't miss it if you're a New York City supporter, because a lot of stuff comes out of that. I try to put clips up. I try to do everything I can, and now we have a podcast here. Maybe we share a little bit more of this too, Roberto. But
maybe.
But he talked about the fact that he has to go through the process. He has to get a work visa every year. He's on a 1-year work visa. Mm-hmm. He has to go back to the U.S. Embassy in England, and if anything happens there, he could be delayed in his return. Although that's worked pretty smoothly, but it depends on the country.
Yeah, but the U.S. State Department, that controls the embassies and all that.
Yeah,
they're sort of short of people. And so, for instance, I've had friends in Mexico who normally could get a visa within a couple of weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had appointments to get a visa to come to the United States that were a year out.
Wow.
A year out. And then they kept on saying, well, wait for other people to cancel. And it went from May to 2023. And then she finally got her visa in, when was it? In December. She got her. It's just like nuts. She had to wait 7 months. It was to renew a visa. It wasn't even a new visa. It was just to renew it, and that's just because they just don't have enough people. So a lot these things take a hell of a lot of time, depending on the country that you're in.
Yeah. So Nick Cushing and the rest of the team await the arrivals of some fresh blood, and the question will be, is there enough time? You have 10 games left. You're in 13th place. You're 4 points out of a playoff position, but with several teams ahead of you, including the New York Red Bulls. You have 10 games left. 7 of them are at home. And the going narrative, Roberto, no one on the staff is saying this, but, all the analysts and the geeks and everybody's trying to figure out, what does New York City need to do in order to qualify for the playoffs? Past positioning, past points that were necessary, and the going chat is to win 7 out of 10. And if that indeed is what New York City needs to do in order to qualify for the playoffs, that's a tough one. They've won 2 of their last 18 games. But to say they're going to win 7 games of their final 10 when they're struggling to win games for this long a period of time. Mm-hmm. I know there's players coming in, but you've got to integrate them. Yeah. It's not going to be magic from the start.
So so there's this, right? So how many of the games are
I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm just trying to be a realist.
I get it.
I'm trying to be real on this, okay?
But also, most of the games that they're playing are at home.
So you weren't listening. 7 out of 10.
Right, exactly.
So that's most of the games, 7 out of 10.
Okay, so you would expect, although
that's
they haven't played
well. That's the second time you didn't hear what I said.
No, I did hear it, but I'm just saying most of the games are at home. So I'm trying to make my point that it's easier to win points at home than it is to win points on the road. So that they absolutely have in their favor. What they don't have in their favor is the fact that they've played 24 games and Charlotte has played 23. The Red Bulls have played 23. Montreal has played 23. DC 24. Chicago 23. Atlanta 24. So those are the guys that are close enough points wise that they have a shot at being able to catch. So and they also have to worry about this Inter Miami team that, although they only have 18 points, they have this Messi guy. Turns out he's pretty good. And he sort of changes the team.
September 30th. Yeah. Should that be kicking it around? We'll go to Messi last night. So he's now got 5 goals and 2 assists in 204 minutes of play. So that's all right, man.
Well, but see, what I like what Orlando did last night, okay? I like, because all of a sudden Cruz Azul played very deferential to him when he came in. I mean, Atlanta put thought like he was porcelain and that he was going to break and they were going to get kicked out of the league if they came close to him. They were brutal. I mean, that was awful. Orlando came in and said, "Oh yeah,
I know.
Forget it. Araujo, Cesar Araujo. I don't care. He's human. I'm going after him." And he went after him all game long. And it was nice to see that, although 2 of the goals that he scored, he's just wide open in the box. I mean, just wide open. Robert Taylor's value, okay, is now like at least doubled, if not more, because all of a sudden he's got good players to play with, and he's like Angel Di Maria all of a sudden. I was like, what the heck?
He's the same player. It is the players around him, but that's what great players do, right?
Yeah,
they make
everybody else better
around.
So
them.
they're going to be tough, but they still have defensive issues. Of course, Jordi Alba now comes in, so that sort of helps them out. And he played last night. But I want to. Are we going to kicking it around already? Are we kicking it around?
Yeah, we're going to kick it around.
All right,
because we're going to short. But the thing I want to say about that, I'm trying to remember who made this comment, but they said like a draft pick out of Notre Dame is not going to care about playing against Lionel Messi. He's just going to go out and try to clobber him. And, that's the Orlando City way. Felipe challenging him, which was interesting.
Well, that's Felipe.
And Felipe of Red Bull fame. He and Patrick Vieira going at it in the tunnel after one game. That was reportedly that occurred, but enough people saw it, so I'm pretty sure that it did. What are you looking at?
Oh, what I'm looking at is that Liga MX is having a nightmare.
All right.
I mean, I still think that a Liga MX team is going to win this, but as of now, all the smaller Liga MX and then some of the bigger ones are just exiting on the first shot.
I see the shade. What they do on FOTMob is they shade the team that loses in penalties. So Atlas out. Cruz Azul out.
They lost to Charlotte. Charlotte was playing at home in Texas. They were playing in Frisco in Toyota Stadium. And Charlotte beat. I mean, I would have to think that Tuca Ferretti's in big trouble, although I wouldn't. I think he's a great coach, but he's in trouble. New England beat Atlas in penalty kicks. Now, in that game, all right, they got early goals by Mateo Garcia in the 8th minute and Jordi Caicedo, who's their big signing, replacing Quiñones. They were up 2-0 after 11 minutes. But then Gustavo Bo in the 30th and made it 2-1. And then Gustavo Bo again tied it after he missed a penalty. So I guess he put in the rebound. I haven't seen the goals. And then after that, in the penalty shootout, they were able to prevail. And it was 8-7 in penalties. Andrew Farrell with the last goal. New England did not miss a penalty kick, and Atlas only missed one. Jose Abella hit the post. Interesting thing about New England, okay?
Yeah.
Jordi Petrovic, who's like world-class goalie. He really is, okay? He wanted to be transferred out. There's been a lot of offers for him to go to play the championship, and he wanted out. He's like, I want to go. But they didn't trade him. They didn't sell him. So he's probably losing money like that. So he was training on the side all week. Then they have the Bruce Arena issue. And so he's not.
He wasn't training on the side all week, though, because Carlos Heel in the presser yesterday or 2 days ago, it was yesterday, I'm pretty sure, said that he had a normal training week. This is the captain of the team. So I don't know, I don't know where what you heard, but did Earl Edwards play the game tonight?
He played the game tonight.
There you go. Well, one thing that Richie Williams said, who he did the presser because Bruce Arena is on administrative leave, is he said, well, we haven't made the lineup out yet. We're trying to sort out things with Georgie. We'll let you know. You'll find out tomorrow who's playing. Earl Edwards, who I know quite well, I coached his sister, Jasmine Edwards, at Rutgers University, and I'm very happy for him. He's kind of turned into a journeyman, but he's made a career out of it, and what a great moment for him. I am so very happy. And
I'm happy for him. Here's why I'm really happy for him. Because the last time I remember Edwards playing, and maybe he's played since, and I just don't remember because I don't follow New England every single game. But he played against Pumas in Champions League, and that was a game where, first of all, they won 3-0 at home in Gillette, and then they went to Mexico and the bed. All right,
yeah.
They Pumas tied it 3-3, and they went to penalty kicks, and the Pumas won in penalty kicks, and New England got eliminated, which was brutal because they never should have been eliminated.
I think the story,
and that's what happened there.
That's neat. I think the story of the night, though, is this. Okay,
Daniel Gazdag missing a penalty kick.
Absolutely, 16 for 16 in his career with Philadelphia, and he misses the first kick.
Yeah,
but Bizo converts the fifth, and there were two misses.
Two misses.
Durkin and Santos. So on the DC United side, so Philadelphia advances on penalties. That's who New York City would have played next. It would have been in Chester, Pennsylvania, but it's not going to happen now. It's going to be the New York Red Bulls. Who hosts that one?
Oh, Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. Red Bulls won their division, though.
But after this round, it just goes to who had the better standings, and so it's Philadelphia.
Standings in the league.
In the league, last year. So,
wow.
It's based on last year's standings. So Philadelphia, so New York City, by the way, would have had like the fourth best record of the teams that were left, and so I mean, they could have been hosting some games, although they wouldn't have been hosting next week. So it's going to be the Red Bulls traveling there. Most likely Monday will be that game because those games are going to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week, 6, 7, and 8 of August. So that's when that's going to be. All right. So what else do we have to say? So New York City now has a lot of time to get their act together for the stretch run.
We get some time off too, I guess, from rest our voices.
We're not getting between podcasts that we have. So we've got this podcast that we're doing twice a week. You've got your show on Sirius XM. I have my shows in Spanish and Especialistas del Deporte. So they're going to be happy to have me back for Wednesdays doing NFL now. And on Mondays, I do Liga MX and MLS on Especialistas del Deporte. That's in Spanish.
Well, that should be a popular show now since they're going at it against each other for the entire month.
It's been very popular. We had a great discussion with Eric Gomez last week. He's been filling in for Veronica Rodriguez, who's been working for Telemundo, doing Zona Mixta while they're doing the World Cup. And she's doing great.
And
you met Vero, right? You met her in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the World Cup, just some amazing stories. Morocco losing to Germany 6-0. This is the Women's World Cup. I met somebody today who started talking about the World Cup, and the person on the other end of the conversation said, like, "Oh, that was in Qatar. What are you talking about?" No, we're talking about the World Cup now. The women are playing in New Zealand.
I like Australia. The way you just said the World Cup and not the Women's World Cup.
Yeah,
seriously, I'm totally on board.
I call it the World Cup and the Men's World Cup. I go the other way.
Well, that's not right either, mind you. It just should be the World Cup. Which one? Well, the one that's being played now.
It is the World Cup. So Morocco gets in for the first time. They lost to Germany 6-0, but they come back, and the Germans are eliminated today for the first time ever that they haven't gotten out of the group stage. And
they tie Korea, right?
Yeah, they're out. They're done. So they're not in the round of 16. And Jamaica made it.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful story for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons they're even in the country being able to compete the World Cup was they created a GoFundMe page. They needed help. Financially, Bob Marley's daughter
stepped up.
Celia, she helped as well, and they got over. And I've communicated with a number of people. If I get these two together, we'll play some clips on NYCFC Views in the Kicking It Around segment. But I'm trying to get the Swaby sisters. One I recruited to Rutgers, Chantel, and Allison, who went to Boston College. You got sisters who started the back, central defense, next to each other in Jamaica, and they'll be able to tell us about the trials and tribulations of that group, who wonder when they're going to get their next paycheck. But here's what the final thing I want to say, Roberto, and then we should close this, is that FIFA came through for the first time. $30,000 to each player for just going to the World Cup. Mm-hmm. All the players, every team. Then it's another 30 for getting out of the group stage. So these Jamaican girls, these Nigerian women, Randy Waldron, an American coach who I used to coach against in the Big East, a great friend of mine who has Nigeria through. They're going to play England. That's their next match. Oh. But these girls are all getting individually $60,000 each. And to explain, I don't know if you have to explain how life-changing that is.
It makes a big difference
for so many of them. And So there's many wonderful stories, and if you're not following the World Cup, and there's some great teams, watch Japan. If you like football, watch Japan.
Yep.
Watch Spain.
Watch Sweden.
Watch Sweden. And the U.S., are they going to be able to recover? That's a big story.
So
5 a.m. Sunday.
Okay, so here's a quick
5
question.
a.m. Eastern.
Okay, so in 2015, they figured it out and they went on a run and they won.
Yeah.
Right. Are they going to do the same thing or not? Or do you just have the feeling that they're just quietly whimpering, going to go out and lose something like 2-0 to Sweden, and that's it?
Here's my coaching point on that. I think they will be driven to great heights in this match against Sweden. I think they hear the noise.
Oh, we know that. Carly Lloyd had to retract what she said.
I don't know how much of a retraction that was.
Well,
as
it was
opposed,
like, oh, well, I thought about it. I slept on it, and maybe I overspoke.
Yeah, but she didn't take back anything she said. She just said that she slept on it. And I'm curious. I'll find out one day whether the network made her do that or whether she slept on it and she decided she wanted to do that.
Why would the network make her do that?
Because the network doesn't have former national team players that say anything ever other than maybe Landon Donovan. And,
Lala says stuff all the time.
Yeah, but not about the men, but never about the women. He doesn't say anything about the women.
Oh, wow.
But I'm talking about former women national team players being critical of their teammates. It doesn't happen because they're all friends and they're afraid of those relationships.
Yeah.
And Carly that's
Carly,
part of her
though.
Greatness is that she doesn't care.
But
now,
so how many times did she curse you out?
I didn't get cursed, but we had some battles.
Are you sure?
We had some battles. Well, every coach gets cursed.
I was going to say, were you willing to bet on that?
No, every coach gets talked about behind their back. I mean, that's
Well, yes.
what, that's why, what was it? Some of them are upset with Vladko. So, there's conversations going on, but they have to make this galvanize the experience. So will they have the tactical ability to be in control on their press? Because the way they started the last match against Portugal that they tied, they were just pressing crazy, and they were having some success early on, but it wasn't a calculated press, and I think that's the key to the game. If they can calculate their press and win the ball where they need to win it to get their really athletic forwards into the game, I see that as being the key to the match against Sweden.
All right, so let me ask you one more question. I know we keep on saying we wanted to make this 30 minutes, and we're close to 40, but I can't just let this go.
Oh, well.
Well, I got to get home at some point, too. But I just can't let this go. So
I don't. This is what I love about Roberto. He's got to get home, but I don't. I can just stay here.
Exactly. Yeah,
you're going to help me break down this equipment.
I don't know. I have the guys breaking down my equipment. I'm just hoping that it's all in the right place. All right. So here's the other question. Is Vlatko a good coach for this national team?
I'm not certain that he is, and I think part of it, I'm very disappointed at how naive the team is tactically. Now, part of that could be player responsibility. Part of that could be the clubs that they come from, because that's where you really learn the game. But outside of those two things, I just think maybe he doesn't have I don't know if he's got the room, that is the players and the kind of you have to be harsh at times. You have to be commanding. I don't know if he's got that voice, that commanding voice, but we're not there. So I don't know. I've had him on the air for 2 hour-long interviews talking about the game, talking about all the different aspects of training, and I was impressed. That he's got this plan. They have a plan. It just didn't look like it against Portugal. That was the most disturbing thing. What was the plan? I didn't see it. I don't know what the plan was. I
just look at the team play, and I just it just doesn't seem that, based on the amount of talent that this team has, that he's really getting the most out of them. And he's got to find a way. Yeah. He's got to find a way. And yes, some of them is on the players. Same thing here with New York City, right? A lot of it's on the players as well. But I mean, they've just has to be better, and I'm deathly afraid of what's going to happen against Sweden. I've never felt 100% confident with this team for the past couple of years, ever since they bowed out of the Olympics. And I mean, and ever since then, there hasn't been some performances that look at that, they're back on track.
No, you haven't. It's true, and you do read and hear some people say they're not surprised because they haven't seen it, and that's true. But they're also together trying to improve it all the time, and you do that through training, you do that through meetings, you do that through film, you do that with there's just so many things that go into it, and it's hard. I will say that, obviously this is probably doesn't even need to be spoken, but if it doesn't go well against Sweden, then Vlatko will no longer have the job. But
he's done.
Because they've never, and so this is what's amazing, they've never not reached at least the semifinals at the World Cup.
And they were almost out of the group stage. If it wasn't for a post, they're out of the group stage.
I know. Crazy stuff, man. But 5 a.m. on Sunday, come on, get up. It's coffee, tea, I don't know, whatever you have.
Oh, God.
That's not that early. 5 a.m. is not that early. Anyway, so I'll be up. So you can get up, Roberto. Or record it and watch it later. Who knows?
Nah, I don't enjoy it the same way. God, I don't know what to think. I'm going to be up. I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to be really upset if I can, if they wind up losing for not just because they lost, but because I woke up at 5 a.m. and then had to start my day that way.
Well, we're going to have something to talk about on our next program. It will be the women's game against Sweden and number 1. But actually, that'll be not number 1 because we start the show with NYCFC stuff. Whatever stuff we can come up with, we know that they're going to be in this break. Our next broadcast, the commentary won't be till August the 20th when they host Minnesota. All right, so
that's Citi Field. Tickets available.
Citi Field tickets available. Let's go. Support your boys.
By the way,
support your boys.
For the first time, this place said 11,000 people. There were 11,000 people.
Yeah, it was half full.
It was half full, and the attendance was 11,007. The official attendance, something like that. So that it was, and it was very loud. And by the way, the New York City supporters,
big turnout. Hey, huge turnout.
Well done.
Yeah,
huge turnout. Bigger turnout than the Red Bull supporters.
It was really massive in the upper tier to the left of us here, and we made a point of that too. So good kudos to the supporters for coming to Jersey, the greatest state of the union.
The reason they came to the game,
the home of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason, but that's not it. But the reason they came to the game was because it wasn't a home game.
Who does New York have?
Still people. The
Ramones, were they New Yorkers?
Yes.
Okay.
So, God, really
Bruce
have to ask who New York is?
All right, hey guys. Wonderful to have you with us. This was episode 3. We're going to keep doing this twice a week. We'll be on with you, NYCFC Views, and with our Kicking It Around segment. And if you have ideas for us, Kicking It Around, that's stuff outside of NYC, let us know. If you have ideas on the NYC side of the episode that you want us to chat about, please let us know. You know where to find us. We're on Twitter, and, Roberto's got a lot more followers, so what are you going to do? Congratulations, Roberto.
You're welcome. Nobody pays attention on Twitter or X or whatever it is. Ever since I lost my little blue birdie, they've been it's like nobody sees anything I do. No, I mean, it just goes invisible.
For Roberto Abramowitz, I'm Glenn Crooks. Have a good day, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.